Under a vast, sun-drenched sky, golden fields ripple endlessly, a kingdom's pride stretching to the horizon. Majestic mountains stand guard in the far distance, their peaks piercing the clear blue. Golden fields, a symbol of prosperity, bathed in light, yet a sense of desolation hangs in the air. The wind whispers through the high grasses, carrying secrets across the sunlit expanse. Endless golden fields under the endless sky, promising abundance, but hinting at an underlying emptiness. The king sits heavily on his ornate throne, a figure of power shrouded in melancholy within the opulent palace. Gold accents shimmer, servants stand attentive, but a deep unhappiness is etched onto the king's face. The grand palace displays wealth, yet the king remains lost in thought, his eyes reflecting profound sorrow. A deep sigh escapes him, barely audible in the vast hall, a testament to his silent suffering. Sunlight floods the king's chambers, motes of dust swirling in the golden rays. Servants flutter around the opulent room, silently attending to their duties. The king sits heavily on the edge of his grand bed, a portrait of sorrow. He rises, the weight of his crown mirrored in his weary steps. The king approaches the window, his silhouette framed by the bright morning light. Gazing out, his heavy heart seems to absorb the vastness of the kingdom before him. A lavish feast overflows on the long table in the king's dining hall. Yet the king's eyes reflect no joy. Surrounded by courtiers, the king picks at delicacies, his soul untouched by the lively music. The clatter of the king pushing his plate away echoes in the vast hall, a stark sound of emptiness. Despite the splendor, the king remains distant, the weight of his crown heavy on his brow. Sunlight pierces the throne room's stained glass, illuminating the king's weary face amidst the room's vast opulence. Dust motes dance in the air as the king sits heavily on his throne, a picture of melancholy despite his power. Before the king, his ministers stand with bowed heads, awaiting his command in the sunlit hall. "Find me happiness," the king commands, his voice echoing in the chamber. "Bring me the secret that will make me truly happy. I will reward you with gold and honor," the king promises, his words hanging in the air, a desperate plea for joy. Ministers travel far, their faces set with resolve, seeking answers in every corner of the kingdom. Scholars declare, "Power is the key to happiness, Your Majesty," their words echoing in grand halls. Monks whisper, "Knowledge brings enlightenment and joy," their voices serene amidst ancient temples. Yet, a hollow echo remains. None bring the king joy, his brow furrowed in concentration. Evening descends on the riverside, casting long shadows as the king emerges from the palace, cloaked in simple attire. He walks with purpose towards a small river, the setting sun reflecting off the gentle ripples of the water. An ancient banyan tree stands sentinel, its sprawling branches reaching out like protective arms over the serene landscape. The king approaches the riverbank, the soft rustling of leaves providing a tranquil soundscape to the scene. He pauses beneath the banyan, a moment of quiet contemplation etched on his face as he surveys the peaceful surroundings. The river flows gently, carrying secrets and reflections, as the king finds solace in the simplicity of nature. A lone, ragged boy sits by the riverbank, his torn clothes a stark contrast to his joyful smile. Dusty feet dangle above the flowing water as he hums a carefree tune, lost in his simple joy. Unseen, a king observes him, curiosity etched on his face as he watches the boy's unburdened happiness. The river flows on, mirroring the boy's laughter and the king's contemplative gaze. Beside the flowing river, the king advances, his figure imposing against the serene backdrop. The boy stands, a serene smile playing on his lips as he awaits the king's approach. The king halts before the boy, his gaze intense, searching for answers in the youthful face. A question hangs in the air as the king's voice breaks the silence. "Boy, why are you smiling?" The boy's smile remains unchanged, a silent mystery challenging the king's authority. Beside the flowing river, a boy gestures towards the vibrant sunset, his eyes wide with pure wonder. The river flows, reflecting the colors of the setting sun, painting the scene with golden light. "Because the sun is setting beautifully, sir," the boy exclaims, his voice filled with awe. He listens intently to the water, adding, "The river is singing today, as if sharing a secret with the world." Beside the flowing river, the king's frown deepens, disbelief etched on his face as he looks at the boy. The king's voice booms with regal authority, questioning the boy's simple existence and lack of worldly possessions. "Is that all? You have no wealth, no house, no servants." The king's words hang heavy in the air. The king's piercing gaze intensifies, demanding an explanation. "How can you be happy?" Beside the flowing river, sunlight dances on the water as a boy looks up at the king. The boy's eyes, wide with innocent curiosity, seek the king's expression. A gentle breeze whispers through the trees lining the riverbank. "Sir, are you happy?" the boy asks, his voice clear and unafraid. The king pauses, the question hanging in the air between them. The river continues its timeless journey. Indifferent to the weighty question, silence hangs heavy by the riverside, the setting sun painting long shadows. The river flows, an indifferent witness to the king's inner turmoil. The king, cloaked in regal attire, stares into the flowing river. A quiet confession escapes the king's lips. "I have everything, yet I feel empty." His words linger in the still air, lost in the vastness of the landscape. Beside the flowing river, the boy's head tilts, a furrow of concern etching his brow as he gazes at the king. Understanding dawns in the boy's eyes as he perceives the king's burden. The boy speaks with surprising wisdom, his voice clear against the river's murmur. "Then you are carrying something too heavy," the boy says, his words echoing in the serene landscape. A young boy kneels by the riverside, his small hands sifting through pebbles, seeking the perfect stones. He carefully selects 2 smooth stones, holding them gently in his palm. Approaching the king, the boy extends his hands, offering the stones with solemn respect. The king opens his hands, receiving 1 stone in each, his gaze fixed on the boy. "Hold them tightly," the boy instructs, his voice soft yet firm, entrusting the king with his simple gift. The king's weathered hands close around the stones, a silent promise echoing in the riverside air. At the riverside, minutes stretch into an eternity. The king's hands begin to ache under the relentless weight. The boy watches, a hint of challenge in his eyes. "Now, keep holding them all night." The king struggles, his face strained with effort. The king grits his teeth against the pain, battling the overwhelming weight. The king stands at the riverside, his silhouette stark against the water. His face is etched with pain, a mask of suffering worn by a leader. He clenches his hands, knuckles white with the strain of an unseen burden. The river flows relentlessly, a silent witness to the king's agony. His voice cracks with despair, a raw admission of torment. "I cannot," the king says, his words echoing over the water. "They are hurting me." Beside the flowing river, sunlight catches the boy's face, casting a celestial glow around him as he smiles gently. The boy begins to speak, his voice soft yet firm, revealing hidden truths about the burdens we carry. "Those stones are your desires, fears, and pride," the boy explains, his gaze intense and knowing. "That is why your heart is tired," he says, revealing the weight of unspoken emotions and burdens. At the riverside, the king carefully sets the stones down, his movements deliberate and heavy with unspoken burdens. A profound sense of relief washes over him, etching away years of weariness from his face. He inhales deeply, his lungs expanding with a lightness he hasn't felt in what seems like an eternity. The weight of the kingdom seems to lift from his shoulders, replaced by a fragile, newfound peace. Beside the flowing river, a young boy carefully approaches, his small hands holding a clay cup filled with water. He offers the cup to the king, his eyes reflecting pure hope and earnestness. "Drink," the boy says, his voice clear and sincere. The king accepts the cup, his gaze meeting the boy's with a hint of surprise. He takes a sip, a moment of quiet anticipation hanging in the air. The king's eyes widen slightly. "It tastes sweet," he says, a subtle smile forming. Beside a flowing river, a young boy diligently scoops water. He repeats the action, filling the cup with focused determination. Water spills over the rim, forming a small, glistening puddle. A stern voice breaks the silence. "King, why are you wasting water?" A serene riverside scene unfolds, the water's gentle flow mirroring the boy's contemplative gaze. The boy looks up, his eyes reflecting the shimmering light, a question hanging in the air. "Your mind is like this cup," the boy says, a lesson unfolding by the river's edge. "Already full of worry, anger, and greed," he continues, his words carrying the weight of ancient wisdom. "How can happiness enter when there is no space?" the boy asks, revealing the path to inner peace. Against the tranquil backdrop of the river, a boy stands tall, his silhouette sharply defined by the nascent day. He points towards a village nestled in the distance, a beacon of hope and promise in the morning's embrace. Bathed in the sun's tender light, the boy reflects on life's simple gifts. "I wake up each morning grateful that I can see, walk, and breathe," he says, his voice filled with genuine appreciation. "I help my mother. I laugh with my friends. I sleep without fear," he continues, gratitude coloring his words. His words echo in the serene landscape, a testament to a life lived fully and gratefully. Beside the calm river, a boy observes the king, his expression a mix of defiance and deep sympathy. "You own the kingdom, but you are owned by your worries," the boy declares, his words hanging in the air. The king is silent, the weight of the boy's words sinking in as he stares at the flowing river. Tears well in the king's eyes, a silent acknowledgement of the truth that has been spoken. Sunlight floods the king's palace, highlighting the bustling yet orderly hall as the king presides at the head of a long table. The king listens intently to his ministers, his face reflecting newfound ease and thoughtful engagement. A genuine smile lights up the king's face, mirroring the joy and prosperity blooming throughout the kingdom. The kingdom flourishes, not only in wealth but also in the precious commodity of joy, reflecting the king's dedication